Burkina Faso is at this incredible turning point. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff. On one side, there's chaos, and on the other, there's this bold, exciting chance to rewrite the nation's future. The thing is, the country has faced challenges that would make most people throw in the towel. Insurgency, economic struggles, corruption, and the kind of instability that keeps everyone on edge. But here's where it gets interesting. Burkina Faso isn't just surviving, it's fighting back. The Prime Minister has unveiled this massive plan, and let us tell you, it's not just talk. This isn't some dusty document sitting on a shelf. It's a full-blown, action-packed blueprint to tackle the country's problems head-on. We are talking about fixing insecurity, helping displaced families, growing their food, wiping out corruption, and uniting a nation that's been through so much. It's ambitious, sure, but when has playing it safe ever changed anything? Here we would like to take a moment and thank you for supporting us and being a valued part of our strong community. And if you are not yet a member, we encourage you to join us and help build an even stronger community together. Let's get started. Burkina Faso is starting with the one thing that makes everything else possible: security. So let's get into why this is the foundation for everything they are trying to build. Imagine waking up every day not knowing if it's safe to leave your house. You want to send your kids to school, maybe head to the market, or just work your land. But there's this constant fear that something terrible could happen. That's the reality for so many families in Burkina Faso. For years, insurgent groups have turned villages into battlegrounds. They have forced families to abandon their homes, wrecked local economies, and made it nearly impossible for people to live normal lives. It's not just heartbreaking, it's a roadblock.
One of them is Tolobaz. This war leader stays constantly on the move because he's the jihadists' main target. He avoids media attention, but with the urging of an intermediary, he finally agreed to talk to us.
So what's the plan? The government knows that fixing this isn't just about throwing more soldiers into the mix. That's a short-term solution, and Burkina Faso needs something that lasts. They are being smart about it, creating a multi-layered strategy that addresses the root of the problem rather than just the symptoms. First, they are strengthening intelligence networks. Because you can't fight an enemy you don't understand. This means investing in technology, training personnel, and gathering critical information about insurgent groups operating in the region. These intelligence systems aren't just about tracking movements or monitoring threats. They are about anticipating attacks before they happen. By understanding how these groups operate, the government is staying one step ahead. But intelligence alone won't cut it. The government is also teaming up with neighboring countries to create a united front. Why? Because insurgency doesn't respect borders. Groups move fluidly across regions, exploiting gaps in communication and security between nations. Burkina Faso has strengthened its ties with neighbors like Mali and Niger through coordinated operations and information-sharing initiatives. Together, they are creating a regional defense strategy to push back against insurgency threats. This collaboration is also supported by the G5 Sahel Force, a regional military coalition aimed at stabilizing the Sahel region. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. They are involving local communities in the fight. Think about it. Who knows a village better than the people who live there? The government is training and equipping local defense groups, often referred to as community vigilantes, or volunteers for the defense of the homeland VDP. These groups are made up of everyday citizens, farmers, shopkeepers, and teachers who are stepping up to defend their homes and loved ones. But this isn't some ragtag effort. These volunteers are receiving formal training in security protocols, defensive tactics, and even basic first aid. They are being provided with tools, equipment, and, most importantly, the government's backing to ensure their efforts are organized and effective. This approach not only strengthens local defenses, but also empowers communities to take control of their safety. This empowerment is a game changer. It creates a sense of ownership, where people feel like they are active participants in rebuilding their communities rather than passive victims. And the results? They are already starting to show. In villages where these community groups are active, families are beginning to return to their homes. Schools are reopening, markets are coming back to life, and people are finally able to walk the streets without constant fear. That said, security is just the first step. Thousands of families have already lost everything: homes, livelihoods, and loved ones. The question now is, how do you help them rebuild? Because safety means little if people don't have the tools to reclaim their lives. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video, and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Close your eyes for a second and picture this. You have lost your home, your fields, your livelihood. You are crammed into a makeshift camp with your family, wondering how you'll survive the next day. That's the harsh reality for thousands of people in Burkina Faso right now. But this isn't where their story ends. It's just the beginning. The government's plan is all about turning survival into revival, taking people from simply getting by to truly rebuilding their lives. First, they are tackling the most urgent needs: food, water, shelter, and healthcare. For families who have been displaced by conflict, this immediate relief is like a lifeline, offering them a chance to pause, breathe, and regain some sense of stability. Relocation efforts are underway, moving families from dangerous, overcrowded camps to safer areas where they can finally feel secure. These new settlements are designed not just for survival but for dignity. People aren't just being dropped into makeshift shelters. They are being given homes with proper sanitation, access to clean water, and resources to start rebuilding their lives. Now here's where things get interesting. The government understands that temporary aid is important, but it's not enough. This plan isn't about patching up wounds, it's about building something lasting. Entire communities are being reconstructed from the ground up. Schools are a top priority because getting kids back into classrooms isn't just about education. It's about restoring a sense of normalcy and hope for the future. And it's not just schools. Clinics are being established to provide healthcare services that go beyond treating immediate injuries. These clinics are staffed with trained professionals equipped to handle everything from chronic illnesses to maternal care. Markets, too, are being revitalized. Imagine bustling spaces where farmers can sell their crops, artisans can trade goods, and families can once again earn a living. But rebuilding isn't just about the physical structures. Trauma leaves scars that aren't visible but can be just as damaging. The government recognizes this and has made emotional healing a key part of the plan. They are bringing in counselors, therapists, and mental health professionals to work with individuals and families who have experienced the unimaginable. Group therapy sessions, trauma recovery programs, and community support groups are being set up to help people process their experiences and start to heal. And healing doesn't stop there. The plan includes empowering families with the tools and skills they need to rebuild their livelihoods. For farmers, this means seeds, farming equipment, and access to training on modern agricultural techniques. For others, vocational programs are being rolled out to teach skills in trades like carpentry, tailoring, and even tech-based jobs. But let's not forget the bigger picture. Rebuilding a community isn't just about giving people tools. It's about creating opportunities. That's why microfinance programs are being introduced, offering small loans to help families start businesses or invest in their futures. The idea is to give people a sense of ownership and control over their lives, something they have been robbed of for far too long. Still, there's one thing that ties all of this together: food. Because let's face it, none of this works if people are hungry. Food security isn't just a need, it's the foundation of everything else. Let's talk about food for a second. Did you know that Burkina Faso has been relying heavily on imported food for years? And here's the problem with that. When you are depending on other countries to feed your people, you are at their mercy. Prices go up, supply chains break down, and suddenly, you are facing a food crisis. So, what's the government doing about it? They are making agriculture a top priority, and honestly, it's about time. For years, Burkina Faso's dependence on imported food has left its population vulnerable to rising global prices and supply chain disruptions. But this new plan aims to change that by turning the country into a self-sustaining food powerhouse. The first step is giving farmers the tools they need to succeed. Access to better seeds is a game changer. These seeds aren't just higher yielding, they are also more resilient, designed to withstand the harsh conditions of Burkina Faso's dry climate. Alongside this, farmers are being introduced to modern equipment that replaces traditional, labor-intensive methods. Think of it like upgrading from a bicycle to a car. It makes farming faster, more efficient, and much more productive. But it's not just about the tools, it's about knowledge. Training programs teach farmers advanced techniques, like crop rotation to maintain soil health and precision planting to maximize yields. These are skills that can take a struggling farmer and turn them into a thriving entrepreneur. And here's where it gets even better. The government is tackling one of the biggest obstacles to farming in the region: water. Expanding irrigation systems is a massive part of the plan. Imagine taking fields that were once barren and dry and transforming them into lush green farmland that can produce crops year-round. Projects like building dams, digging wells, and setting up modern irrigation networks are ensuring that water reaches areas where it's needed most, even during the driest seasons. But here's the thing, it's not just about growing more food, it's about growing smarter. Farmers' cooperatives are being established, and they are a game changer for small-scale farmers. Instead of working in isolation, these farmers are coming together to pool resources like equipment and storage facilities. They are also able to negotiate better prices for their produce, cutting out middlemen who often exploit them. It's like building a support network where everyone benefits, and it's creating stronger, more resilient farming communities. And let's talk about what they are growing. The government isn't just focused on staples like millet and maize, although those are crucial. They are encouraging farmers to diversify their crops to include fruits, vegetables, and even high-value items like nuts and legumes. Why? Because this kind of variety doesn't just improve nutrition for the population, it also opens up new economic opportunities. Diverse crops can be sold locally, reducing reliance on imports, or exported to generate revenue for farmers in the country. Speaking of nutrition, this part of the plan goes beyond just feeding people. It's about improving overall health. Malnutrition has been a persistent issue in Burkina Faso, especially among children. By promoting the cultivation of nutrient-rich crops like leafy greens, beans, and citrus fruits, the government is tackling this problem head-on. It's a win-win: healthier diets for families and a stronger agricultural economy. But that's not all. The government is also looking to the future with plans to invest in agro-processing industries. This means taking raw agricultural products and turning them into finished goods, like flour, packaged fruits, or even cooking oil. Not only does this add value to what farmers produce, but it also creates jobs in processing and distribution, boosting the economy even further. And let's not forget sustainability. The plan includes measures to protect the environment, like promoting organic farming practices and reforestation projects to combat soil erosion. This isn't just about short-term gains, it's about building an agricultural system that can thrive for generations. All of this together paints a powerful picture. Burkina Faso is moving away from being dependent on others and stepping into its own strength. The vision isn't just about growing food, it's about growing a nation that can stand on its own, with healthier people, stronger farmers, and an economy that thrives. But here's the thing, all this progress can be derailed if corruption gets in the way. So, the next big question is, how do you make sure the system stays clean? Corruption. It's like this invisible hand that steals from everyone and leaves nothing but frustration in its wake. And let's be honest, it's been a huge problem in Burkina Faso. But this new plan, it's going after corruption like never before. First, they are strengthening anti-corruption agencies. These aren't just symbolic offices. They are being given real power to investigate and take action. Public officials are now required to declare their assets. And guess what? If you are caught with your hand in the cookie jar, there are real consequences, jail time included. They are also making the whole system more transparent. Budgets are being published for public scrutiny, and development projects are being tracked to make sure the money goes where it's supposed to. But here's what stands out. They are focusing on creating a culture of accountability. It's not just about catching the bad guys. It's about making honesty the norm. When people see that their leaders are playing fair, it builds trust. And trust is the foundation for everything else. With corruption on the ropes, the stage is set for something truly transformative: education and jobs. Let's talk about how that's going to change lives. Education. It's the great equalizer, right? But here's the problem. Too many kids in Burkina Faso, especially in rural areas, don't have access to quality education. And without education, breaking the cycle of poverty becomes nearly impossible. The government is tackling this head-on by building new schools, upgrading old ones, and training teachers to deliver lessons that inspire kids. And it's not just about textbooks and tests. They are focusing on skills that will prepare students for real-world opportunities. But it doesn't stop with kids. Adults are getting in on the action too. Vocational training programs are helping people learn skills in industries like renewable energy, agriculture, and tech. These programs aren't just about creating jobs, they are about creating futures. And speaking of jobs, the government is investing in industries like tourism, clean energy, and small businesses. They are offering loans and mentorship programs to entrepreneurs, giving people the tools they need to turn ideas into thriving businesses. Here's the bottom line. When people have education and jobs, they feel empowered. And when they feel empowered, they come together to build something bigger than themselves. That brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. Unity. Unity. It's such a simple word, but it's not always easy to achieve. Burkina Faso is a diverse country with different ethnic groups and a history of internal tensions. But the government knows that without unity, everything else falls apart. They are prioritizing reconciliation efforts and bringing traditional leaders, local councils, and community groups to the table. These aren't just symbolic meetings. They are real conversations about how to move forward together. And it's not just talk. The government is launching joint projects, like building schools or planting community gardens, where people from different backgrounds work side by side. When you work with someone, it's a lot harder to see them as an enemy. This focus on unity is about creating a shared vision, a future where everyone feels like they have a stake in the nation's success. And with that, Burkina Faso is proving that even in the face of chaos, a brighter future is always possible. Do you think Burkina Faso is really changing? Can these plans bring change no one expected? Let us know in the comment section. Are locals safe in the hands of Burkina Faso leadership? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.